Hi, and welcome to third grade distance learning day 21. Today we will write about composite rectangles. Key word being write. On our first packet, we did a lot with composite rectangles, but now we're going to take it to the next level with some writing. First of all, I want to say we are so proud of you for working on your math away from school. You are amazing. Now, if you need extra help with this topic, if you need extra help just finding the area when you have a shape that looks like this, or if partway through the video I'm going through it and you're like, oh my god, I can't do this part on my own because I'm going to be really focusing on the writing, you would want to go back to week 2, day 6, okay? But here's a quick refresher, right? We said that area is the number of squares that cover a shape. Squares are really nice because they fit together in both rows and columns without any space in between. So we use them to tile and we use them to cover all sorts of things. And so we're going to use squares for our area too, right? And we also talked about how you can find the area of a rectangle with length times width. 3, because this side has 3 squares going on the side. The length is 3. And times 4, because this has 4 squares going across the top. 4 squares fit in each of these 3 rows. It's 3 times 4. 3 rows of 4, or 3 rows with 4 in each. And you could also use repeat addition. But the reason this is so important is because when we're writing, we're not going to just say area is length times width. If we do that, we're kind of spouting back a formula that we could have memorized without really understanding. We're going to want to do more of this, right? We could say, I multiply length times width, which is 3 times 4, because my shape has 3 rows of 4 squares. There is this going beyond just the steps. I would call this a step to explain what the steps mean. Another word for that is because. Sometimes we hear the word in math represent. So that is our goal in our writing, and it starts right here with understanding areas, squares, covering. So I multiply because my squares make rows. Now, when we're moving to a shape like this, right? Well, and by the way, that's true even if my shape doesn't have squares drawn inside. Even if it's just the outside drawing of a shape, when I say that the length is 3 and the width is 4, there's still secretly 3 rows of 4 inside. So, here we are. When we go to a shape like this, right, we still have rows and numbers in each row, or we could say rows and columns, right? 3 rows with 4 squares in each here, and then here we have 3 rows with 2 squares in each. And we talked about in our first packet how you could write that as just 2 multiplication facts. One for this rectangle and one for this rectangle, or you could put these together because they all together are all the rows all the squares in the row. There's 3 rows of 4 and 2. Notice I use the word because just now, and I talked about rows and I talked about columns. So that's really, really important here. And then as I do my math, that leaves me with a total of 3 times 6 because it's 3 rows of 6. The 4 and 2 get put together and they're still in the rows to make 6. That's 18 squares altogether. So this work looks like work we've been practicing. And now we're just going to put it into words using rows and columns, using the word because, okay? Once again, if my shape is drawn without any squares inside, like this, I still can talk about rows and columns of squares, even though the rows and columns of squares aren't in there. I just need to explain, like, when I see when I see a rectangle, I think of it as 3 rows with 4 in each. And I do another rectangle with 3 rows of 2 in each. I can put the stuff in the rows together. That makes 3 rows with 6 in each, which is 18. So let's look at an example here. The work looks just like the work we've been doing, right? And so step 1, multiplying the length and the width, adding the sides that make the longer side. So adding these ones up because they make one long side. After we add, writing it as a length times width and doing the multiplication. right? In step 5, we have to explain our thinking, and here are some words we can use: length, width, rows, columns, area, and sides. And notice what I did here. This sentence kind of goes with this. But I'm not talking about the steps. I did 4 times 7 plus 4 times 3. I'm talking about the shape, how I think of the shape. The shape is 4 rows of 7. Honestly, if I wanted to make this even better, I could say squares and 4 rows of 3 squares. See, we can always improve our writing. Now, I'm kind of describing this sentence, right? If I put together all the things in the rows, that's what I'm doing right here. So that's what I wrote here. It would be 4 rows of 10. That's here. So I can add, 7 plus 3 to make 10. Then 4 times 7 plus 4 times 3 equals 4 times 10. One last thing you might have noticed is that I go back and I reread, right? And I add in words if I need to add in words to make sure that it makes sense. I don't just leave it at the words, though. I also have to include the numbers that I used, so it all goes together. All right, now it's your turn. Remember, you are a thinker, you are a hard worker, you don't give up, and we love you.